So I'm joined here today by Trustwave and Ed. Welcome, Ed, to the sofa.
Thank you.
Would you like to just introduce yourself, give us a bit about your role and where you fit within Trustwave?
Certainly. So I'm the VP of CPS in EMEA. So I look after the pen test team, the cyber advisory team. In terms of my background, I've been involved in cyber for about 20 years. Sort of man and boy, really. So I've lived and breathed it. And I always say that I've probably seen everything, good and bad. So yeah, that's my background.
That's great. If I look back over the past 12 months, what's been the highlights and lows, not from a company perspective, but what have you experienced and seen out there?
That's a really good question, actually. In terms of looking back, I would say that 2024 has probably been what I expected. AI being, come to the forefront, really popular in terms of attack and defense, cloud, ransomware, the normal things. The thing that's probably a negative, I would say, is, we're seeing the same issues time and time again. I've been in this industry for 20 plus years, unfortunately, and I'm seeing the same type of issues that I saw 20 years ago. So in some respects, we haven't moved forward, but clearly in terms of technology, we have.
Yep. And I think, we talked a lot about innovation recently, and there's a lot of innovative technologies out there. AI is coming on board, but I still very much see a requirement for services. And that falls into your line. Have you seen the services market just still continue to grow?
Absolutely. The challenges are hard and people need help. And when they need help, they go to experts. So it's actually really straightforward. If you've got a new technology, you're not quite sure what to do with it, ask somebody who knows. Like if I think about how much sort of AI testing we've done in the last 12 months, it's exploded from like 400% up. I would say it's just testing AI and LLMs and how we can sort of abuse those models. And we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I'd expect to see a lot more next year.
And Trustwave as a vendor, I call you guys a vendor. To me, you're a vendor. Can you outline or give us a snapshot of the services you put through the channel, the services Trustwave actually bring?
Certainly. So in my area in CPS, we do pen testing, cyber advisory, DEFA work. Sort of, I would say that anything that needs help with, we'll help as a trusted advisor, even though I hate that expression. But if somebody's stuck with something, or in terms of regulatory frameworks, we're always there to help. And where we see organizations gain maturity is when that partnership is really strong. The stronger the partnership, the quicker cyber maturity is gained and then kept, from my experience.
Yeah. And I guess with more regulations coming out, DORA particularly, organizations don't have the bandwidth to keep up. So that's where they won't do it in-house. They'll come to the specialists that are doing that day in. Are you still seeing a great influx of customers coming to you? They're not taking it in-house. They're using a third party.
We've seen it now already.
Yeah.
DORA is, there's a lot of people looking for help and guidance on that. And then, downstream, then there'll be other services that they'll need from that. Pen testing being the classic one. There's an element in DORA that requires pen testing, and organizations are stuck as to, what do we do? How do we do it? And, we can help them, guide them through that sort of what can be a difficult sort of piece of work that needs to be done.
Yeah. And I think years ago, everyone used to say people only pen test for compliance. But I think that nowadays, as we discussed earlier, the basics aren't there. Pen testing plays a much bigger role than just compliance now. People aren't doing the basics. They need to do this to know where they are and find that point in time to make the corrections.
Absolutely. I would say, from experience, mature organizations take their offensive security program really seriously. It's not a one and done. It's a program of work. And where we see organizations do really well is through sort of enterprise pen testing, where they understand what their assets are and they're constantly pen testing them. Then coming to us then for advice, or we're looking to do X, Y, Z. Is that sensible? Is that secure? Or how can we make that secure? So we're almost sort of front running any potential issues. And that's how organizations get and keep maturity, which again is hard to do.
And I think, as you say, I think traditionally people have thought of pen testing as a single thing at a point in time, which rightly so is actually quite worthless. When they look at it as a structured program, enterprise-based throughout a year with a plan to improve on each one, absolutely, and that's what you guys do.
Yeah, it's that management, that program management around it, because having a pen test is only one part of it. It's fixing the issues. It's finding the individual who can fix the issues. So it's, what do we then do next? So there's the whole program that happens after the pen test. And it's really difficult for large pen test programs to be successful because of, who's doing this, who's doing that. That management is really, really important. Yeah. And again, I'll re-emphasize, where we see organizations do well is when they've got good governance and a good structured pen test program.
Makes complete sense. And looking to the future, what does 2025, what do you think's out there for us all?
Oh, I want to say more of the same. I think it'll be a tough year for organizations in terms of their security. Hopefully they can get in front of it and sort of combat any issues. But I'm going to suspect it's going to be patching, passwords, policies. The basics are going to be at the forefront. But I will always say, if you need help, come to us because we're always willing to help.
Yep, makes perfect sense. And Trustwave as a company, growing, expanding, bringing more services.
MDR, phishing, we've got lots of products and services. Databases is a big one for us. If I think again to my pen testing experience, what do we go for? Data. We're always looking for data. So any database security, I would definitely suggest organizations look at that. And of course, phishing and email gateways, again, very important. Because ransomware loves to send automated emails through and it takes one click.
It doesn't take time off for Christmas.
Unfortunately not.
We spoke earlier about basics. And, I think everything still reverts back to the basics when it comes to cybersecurity. Trustwave are synonymous with being an email security and service company. And if I look at email security, phishing hasn't gone anywhere. It's still one of the most prevalent forms of attacks out there. What do you guys do around that, and how does that lead into other services that you can offer?
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about the threats that organizations are facing, ransomware is the number one threat. How does ransomware get into an organization? It's always through phishing. Always through phishing, whether it's sort of just spread across an organization is already focused. Phishing is the number one attack vector for ransomware, and for us in terms of offensive security, we always look to gain a foothold through phishing. So having a good, robust, secure email gateway is really, really important. And I would suggest that there are some good ones out there, but then some are better than others. And the Trusted one is excellent and has proven to be. And we've got machine learning and artificial intelligence built into that, which helps with detection of things that are really difficult to find, actually. So I would always recommend having a good secure email gateway.
Okay. And obviously off the back of that, if somebody does come across an attack, ransomware, phishing, then Trustwave can offer the services at the back end.
Absolutely. When we're red teaming, the first thing we do is send phishing emails in to see how good an organization is. So off the back of that, then, there's always other services. But a malicious user will look to gain a foothold, normally through phishing, and then look to move laterally then through an environment. So any sort of proactive services to help minimize the impact of an issue is a good thing to do for sure.
The email security market, there's a lot of players out there. You guys have been around for a long time and known as one of the flagship vendors when it comes to that. What can people do in terms of looking at their email security policy and potentially having more than one vendor?
Yeah, I'd suggest a layered approach to security. We know that Microsoft do a pretty good job, but if you can add in another layer of security on top of that, it's going to make wonders in terms of the amount of emails that get through or don't get through and that get caught. We see through our AI and ML learning within the platform that it catches significant amount of malicious emails. So I'd always suggest a layered approach. And it goes for defense in depth, which is the sort of the principle that we abide by in security. The more layers, the better, the more things you're going to catch. So I'd absolutely recommend
So I guess almost looking at other vendors and competing systems as not competing, more looking at complementary.
Absolutely. Yeah, the more layers you can get in, the better, I would suggest in terms of email, because it only takes that one email to get through or somebody clicks on. So if you can increase your sort of the rate at which you're finding and capturing malicious emails, the better. So a layered approach is going to be good.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.